Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Prime here, and welcome back to another video. Yep, that's right, we're back with the second list video. A few days ago, you guys had the worst albums of the year. You had that list, you had my thoughts on the worst records to come out this year, but now we're going to make it more lighthearted, as it is Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. And if you're not a Christian like I am, I just celebrate it because I like the gifts and shit. Happy holidays. And to celebrate with this joyous whimsy, we're going to move into the top 10 best records that I listened to this year. And if you didn't read the description of the last one because I didn't mention it, let me know in the comments. What are your top 10 records of the year? Do you agree with mine? Do you disagree with some of mine? Let me know. I want to have a discussion about this. Let's go and get into this. The 10th best record, the number 10 on the list is this Common record, A Beautiful Revolution Part 1 and 2. So, Common has come out of the woodworks. Legendary rapper Common delivers his 13th and 14th studio albums in a cohesive blend this year. Instrumentals are really, really nice, kind of soup of African style percussive elements, Western melodies, really pulling on soul, funk, and jazz influences on this thing. This thing's a really great listen. Now, if you're wondering why I picked this, because, technically, A Beautiful Revolution Part 1 came out in 2020, or at least I'm pretty sure it did. I could be incorrect. I'm going to double check that in case I'm an idiot, but it did. So, even though the first part came out in 2020, I counted this version because part 2 came out in 2021, and this is now its full realized proper product. So that's why I'm putting this on this list. There's a lot of great music on here, man. A lot of great stuff. A lot of evolution from Common here. He's really shown his, he's got that. He's got that vocal. He's got the vocals. He's got the lyrics, and he knows how to write. He's a great writer. And in terms of the singing on this record, Paris Jones should really be given, this should really be a collaborative record. Paris Jones handles almost every single track on this thing as well. She handles all the singing as well. And while she sounds good, her and Common, while she sounds good, they have some vocal differences from song to song, but it does get a little stale after, part 1 and part 2 being over 60, it's 72 minutes of material. So it can get a little stale, but overall, it's great music that she and Common are working together on. The features across the project are spectacular, particularly Lenny Kravitz, Stevie Wonder, Black Thought, all bring great stuff. I'm not saying people like Jessica Care Moore and Chuck D and other people like them and Seun Kuti aren't bringing good music, but those are the three that really stood out to me the most. And while the second installment of A Beautiful Revolution isn't as strong as the first, the two projects come together in a nice and cohesive fashion. And it's just a really nice project, man. I really like that record. But yeah, without further ado, let's move into the ninth best record. Number 9 on the list is where's the button? Here it is. There it is. Lil Nas X's Montero. So, internet meme, internet icon, pop diva gay king, Lil Nas X. This is his debut record after the 7 EP. This thing is a banger of a listen the first time around. Take a Day Trip. Let me just talk about Take a Day Trip for a second. They're the executive producers of this record. My God, what a good job on this thing. Production is phenomenal across this thing. Everything sounds good. Everything is an earworm. I just slam my desk. Ignore it. Yeah, man, it's just so clean from them. They did a great job, and my first time of even hearing their production tag is, when, on Panini, where they go, hey, that's the first time I heard that production tag, and since then, they've become, this huge, everyone knows that tag now, right? And they've done a great job on this record, cementing themselves even more in that production field. The features meet the moment consistently as well. None of them dropping the ball. Not even Miley Cyrus dropping the wrecking ball. Not happening on this thing. That's a shitty joke. I'm sorry. And even though I really like this record, the big issues is that sometimes the songs are heard so much and are played so much that they're almost falling out of favor, which each time they come on. And this album, Once Upon a Time, was like a top 3 for me. but it slipped down the rankings pretty heavily. But it's still a great record. I don't want to say that it's a bad record. This is still a phenomenal record. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's a phenomenal record. I should also say as well, Beautiful Revolution Part 1 and 2 also get a 7. So I really enjoyed this record. I really enjoyed Montero. It's not a bad record. I'm just saying it slipped a little bit, but overall, great record. Like banger, like a one-man banger, or I guess technically three-man banger machine if we can't take a day trip. But, you know, if we're talking vocals, one-man banger machine, Lil Nas X coming through. Some great work here. And we're now moving into the 8th best record. The 8th best record of the year, which I don't think I was expecting. I thought I didn't know what to think when I heard this album. Or when I saw this album was being announced, but I was pleasantly surprised by it, and it is J. Cole's The Off Season. I like this record a lot. I like this record. My biggest issue with J. Cole has always been that he's not versatile, and guess what? He's versatile here because he's got features. Cole Returns was his new LP, and it's a different turnaround. First time in a long time. Or first time really ever, he's using an abundance of features, which adds so much needed versatility to this track list. By the way, another 7 as well. This record is a 7. Lots of fantastic lyrics on this album. Great writing, great song structure. And yeah, man, this thing has one of the strongest like starts out of any record. There's a couple of duds on here, like 100 Mil and like Interlude, but overall, This is a great record. Great record, man. And I love when he drops the woke pretense. Like when he drops all trying to he does the thing that Hopsin does in some of his songs. And I like Hopsin. I'm gonna say that. But like the thing that like Hopsin does, like where he gets all real preachy and shit. But like he drops that. This is just good hip hop. It's just good 2000s-esque hip hop. This is what this reminds me of. As shown by some of the features on this thing, like Cameron from Dipset. So, good record. 7 out of 10. Next record I want to point to is a record that I was so excited for. So excited for that, in fact, 1 second. 1 second here. That I'm going to put it up here, even though it probably should be higher considering I went and got this. I was so excited when this thing came out. Even though it came out earlier in the year, this thing is fantastic. And I'm talking about this new NF album / mixtape, Clouds. So excited, in fact, that I went and bought the vinyl for this thing. I went and got the vinyl for this thing. Yeah, this thing is sick. I like it. Let me go put this back so I can talk about it. Yeah. Yeah, Clouds, the mixtape / the album. Really great. I know it's not technically an album, but it's built like one, so I'm going to count it. This thing is a long time. It's got an intro and an edit. Like, this is formatted like an album, grand, lush orchestral instrumentation over this entire project. Never a bad spot production-wise from Tommy Prophet or from Saint X. Passionate vocal performances from NF across the entire record as well, with a pretty decent pen game. He brings some of his best pen game to this record as well. The Tech 9 and Hopsin features on here were amazing. Once again, another dude, NF, who has almost no features in his entire discography. He doesn't give features. He doesn't take them very often. So once again, huge that these two were on this mixtape, and they did great. They met the moment of being some of the few people to be featured on a project of his outside of like some vocal features and vocal samples. And while I like nearly every song, I can't put it any higher because there's no real narrative on this thing to follow. I really like narrative and concept LPs, and it's also only a mixtape. It's not really an LP. It's a mixtape, but even still, great mixtape. Give it a listen. But yeah, something that is definitely something that you could count and qualify as a album for the 6th best record of the year is this new Tyler, the Creator record, Call Me If You Get Lost. Oh my god, what a giga banger of an album. So much on here. One of the most braggadocious rap albums to come out that has ever meant anything to me. One of the most braggadocious albums that Tyler's ever made. And he shows off that finesse in a way that only a few people can. Amazing production across this entire thing. Amazing production across this entire album. Very innovative and creative directions for Tyler. And I think the underlying, and there's also an underlying theme and narrative if you pay attention to the end of Corso and the song Wilshire. He paints this theme of inserting yourself into a relationship, becoming a homewrecker, and while while it's a dick move, and I hate to kind of like put that up on a pedestal, it's a cool narrative. It's interesting to follow. It's entertaining to follow, and he paints the picture so well, man. Even though I don't really like the narrative overall, like from like a human standpoint, it's still great. And Tyler brings out the best in his features as well, and it brings out the best in his features. Sorry, and in some cases, like in the case of NBA YoungBoy or YoungBoy Never Broke Again, people reevaluated their entire perception of that man off what's your name, that song that he's on, when he was getting all mellow, like what's your name, what do you do, like when he gets that proper sing, when he got that singing going. No one saw that coming. No one expected him to be on like this kind of like, groovy R&B, like 70s, but like it's a throwback to some era that I can't really picture. But it just sounds like you're chill. Like it doesn't sound like his record, but he does a great job on here. Does a great job, and I give full credit to Tyler as well. By the way, his production on this thing, as I said earlier, fantastic. And there are a couple tracks on the record that aren't for me: Massa, Run It Up, and Rise, particularly. But overall, I adored this LP more than any other release from Tyler, even more than Igor. And I like Igor as a concept record. I like Igor, but this is better. More replayability on here. It's just better. But now moving into the top 5, baby. Top 5. The top 5. All right, now that I'm being a weirdo. Top 5. At the number 5th spot, as I pull it up here, it is going to be this new Tion Wayne. The new Tion Wayne record, Green with Envy. Sorry, I had to show you guys my notes. I took notes before reading this. This isn't off the cuff, I promise. But yeah. Also, before, as I said, Tyler Creators Called Me If You Get Lost is a 7. This is an 8. Everything in the top half is 8 or above. And this is my most pleasant surprise of the year. Excuse me. My most pleasant surprise of the year. Tion brings several different flares to this commercial debut album. And I wasn't expecting this. I thought Tion Wayne would be pretty one-dimensional. But it doesn't appear to be that. There's two main styles that he leans on here, which I'll talk about in a second. But first, I need to talk about the verse from Tion. Slick from Tion at all times. Features, for the most part, meet in their moment. The drill cuts are dark and moody, but also have infectious grooves that are just easy to bounce to. Talking about with it. I'm talking about body. I'm talking about wow. I'm talking about rock that. Like these infectious drill cuts, man. What else is a drill cut on here? Those are all like my favorite. Those are all my favorite drill cuts. Where were they as well? The intro cut. But yeah, and the same can be said for the other side of the coin here, the Afrobeat cuts, which is how Tion Wayne originally started in the UK scene as an Afrobeat artist. Except instead of dark and moody, these are lively, jovial, sweet, smooth. When you talk about songs like Loyal, talk about songs like Spend a Bag. When you talk about songs like WYS. Like songs like those. And the production as well, super smooth across his record. Super smooth. I love the production across this thing. While some of the songs do get a bit shallow, as this is more of a mainstream record, it's still really good music. I really like almost everything on here. And overall, the theme of people around him becoming envious of the position he's gained and managed to stay at since blowing up on TikTok with his Body remix, which is really in due credit to Artie, which is why I assume he has 2 features on this record, like where if you know the TikTok where it's that British guy saying, what's the fucking thing? Have you seen the state of her body? If I beat it, I am wearing a Johnny, I think is what the lyric is. Like that blew up so huge. That blew up Tion Wayne massively. So, and he managed to stay at that, and Green with Envy, I think, is a great title for this record. I think it's a fantastic title. I was really happy with that record. Really, really happy with it. Next, the fourth best record of this year. We're going back to the UK for this one, and we're going to Ghet's Conflict of Interest, baby. God, what an album. What an album. One of the most narrative-driven grime and drill albums that I've ever listened to. Super stand-up performances from everyone on this record. Great production across this entire record. And there's such a fantastic focus, I guess, transition from a young juvenile to an older adult onto his family, and this overarching kind of lingering theme sprinkled in there with songs like 10,000 Tears and Sonya about a lost love that he can't seem to rid himself of, even when he's in this new relationship. Like I said, Sonya, 10,000 Tears, Dead to Me, Good Hearts, like all these cuts. And while some of the songs on here are a little long-winded, like Crud and Skangman, I'm happy they get played out too much rather than not explored enough. Like every idea is really explored on this record, and I love it. There's almost no stone that goes unturned across the narratives on this thing. It's such a good project, man. Also, huge shout out to the closing track on this thing, Little Bo Peep with Dave, Hamza, and Wretch 32. Oh my god. What a fantastic closer. I love that closer. One of my favorite closers I've ever listened to. That is probably the best closer on this entire on this entire list. Looking at other closers on here, it's better than Nas's, it's better than Common's, it's better than NF's, better than Cole's, better than Tyler's, better than Tion's, and it's probably it's definitely better than some of the ones that are coming up here. But yeah, gets Conflict of Interest, an 8 out of 10. Beautiful record. Beautiful record, man. Man. What a great record. What a great record. But we gotta move on to the top 3. We're going into the top 3, baby. Top 3 records. And for the third best record of the year, I'm talking about this new Brockhampton record, Roadrunner, New Light, New Machine. Whoops, that's not it. That's it. Yeah, man. Brockhampton, Roadrunner, New Light, New Machine. 9 out of 10 for me. This album sees the group from Texas, this rapping boy band group, go back into their form with super experimental bangers loaded with personality and that little hint of gayness that comes through from some of their members, which, I'm a big fan of. A multitude of features on this thing, which adds even more versatility to the group's already compounding amount of. There's so many good features on this thing. Let me just read them out. Danny Brown, Buzz, like that feature, that teaser track, Buzz Cut with Danny Brown, one of the best songs of the year. One of the best songs. That's a top 10 best song of the year. That thing is amazing. JPEG Mafia's contribution on Chain On. ASAP Rocky and ASAP Ferg really come through on Bankroll. I'll Take You On, Charlie Wilson, Baird on Old News. Like, there's some great... Even So Gone So Flexy, who I wasn't the biggest fan of, he does great on this thing. Like, every feature is fantastic on here, man. And the fantastic themes of always being able to find the light and that darkness can't overrule you forever is so precedent over this thing, man. After such the somber place that Ginger was coming from, to go back into this sound is so good to hear. Top tier production, by the way, on the entire project, and nearly every song has replayability. But yeah, that's my number 3. All right, now we're moving into the top 2 here. Top 2. And I need you guys to know that I love these next 2 so much. I love them so much. Okay? And just because I put one over the other doesn't mean that makes one lesser than the other. These have both gotten the same score. These next 2 albums are both 10 out of 10s. That's where we're going. And number 2, the second best album of the year, is the only 10 out of 10 review I've done on this channel. And that is Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak's collaborative record, An Evening with Silk Sonic. What a record. What a record. A glistening throwback to an era long behind us in the 70s with the added contemporary production effects of today. Beautiful production across the board. Never a dull moment on this record. Never a dull moment on this record. Fantastic and fun vocals from Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, really bringing in that personality. A tight track list so that this thing doesn't overstay its welcome, because I will admit, even the style would get stale if this record went a song longer, because they were not showing much versatility on this thing. They stayed in that lane, and they kept in that lane, and they did a great job constantly, and they didn't overpush it. They said, hey, 32 minutes is a good runtime for us. It's not even 30, 31 and change. And every single song has a groove to get behind and a strong feeling or a narrative to convey. This thing is great. From the beautiful slow ballad that is Leave the Door Open to the 70s ho anthem that is Smoking Out the Window, to the Begging in the Rain tune that is Put on a Smile, to the fast pace and hip and West Coast hip hop vibe of 777, to the funky bass driven melodies on After Last Night, to the infectious kind of group singing harmonizations that are led by Anderson .Paak on Fly Is Me. Everything else on here, Skate, Blast Off, Put on a Spot, like the intro even, like this is all so good. Such good music across this thing. All right, we get at number 1. It's not a record that I've talked about publicly on YouTube. I've tweeted about it multiple times. I put it on Instagram before, I think, at least on my story. I don't think I posted, but it was on my story. And this record has been one of the most like satisfying albums I've ever listened to. This thing is beautiful. This thing is compelling. This thing is compassionate. This thing is everything I've ever wanted in an album that hovers in this genre of music. And I am, of course, talking about the new Floating Points and Pharoah Sanders record, Promises, featuring the London Symphony Orchestra. This is gorgeous. A beautiful expression of emotion across 46 minutes of music. And I would like to point out something about this record. It's one song. It's one song that's 46 minutes long that is multiple movements, 9 movements. And each one is beautiful. A gorgeous fusion of electronics from Floating Points, saxophone riffs, runs, and solos from Pharoah Sanders, and fantastic supplementary sounds from the London Symphony Orchestra. One song spread across multiple movements. So even though it's one song, it has a arc, a narrative, a slow build. It climbs and climbs and climbs. There's an explosive peak on movement 6 and 7, and then it falls away and gently eases you out in movements 9. It's a beautiful rise and fall of instrumentation that takes several listens to digest. This is not a one-time album listen. This is a 10-time album listen. Not a single thing on this album is a disappointment. Nothing lets me down. This is beautiful music. And just a beautiful combination of spiritual jazz, classical, and electronic music, particularly IDM. But yeah, those are my 10 albums of the year. My top 10 albums of the year. I'm gonna run you the gauntlet one more time, just in case you guys missed them. Number 10, Common's A Beautiful Revolution, Part 1 and 2. Number 9, Lil Nas X's Montero. Number 8, J. Cole's The Off Season. Number 7, NF's Clouds. Number 6, Tyler, the Creator's Call Me, Forget Lost. Number 5, John Wayne's Green with Envy. Number 4, Gets' Conflict of Interest. Number 3, Brockhampton's Roadrunner, New Light, New Machine. Number 2, Silk Sonic's An Evening with Silk Sonic. And number 1, Floating Points, Pharoah Sanders' Promises, featuring the London Symphony Orchestra. Those are my records of the year. I hope to see you guys back next year, 2022. Hopefully there's going to be new music. Hopefully there'll be more videos coming out from me as well. Thank you guys for watching this year. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for you guys for watching the videos, giving me feedback. Let me know what your albums of the year were in the comments. Do you agree with my records? Have you listened to the records that I have? Please go ahead and listen to the records down below in the description. They're all linked, not in any particular in alphabetical order. They're linked. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a blessed holidays. Have a happy new year, and I will see you guys in the second week of January for my next video. Take care and goodbye.